It was 3:30 a.m. in London on July 19, 2024, when the first tremors hit. David Chen, a night shift IT manager at a major financial firm, watched his screens flicker, then freeze. Across the city, similar scenes unfolded: blue screens, cryptic error messages. What began as a glitch in the quiet hours would soon spiral into a global catastrophe, turning the mundane start of a Friday into a digital nightmare. The world, unknowingly, was holding its breath. As the sun rose over Europe, the problem spread like a contagion. In Frankfurt, trading platforms went dark. In Paris, airport check-in systems seized up, stranding early morning travelers. This wasn't a localized power outage or a targeted cyber attack. This was something far more insidious, something that seemed to be eroding the very foundations of the digital world from within, silently, system by system, device by device, affecting millions before anyone truly understood why. At the heart of this unfolding crisis lay a name synonymous with digital defense: CrowdStrike. For years, CrowdStrike had been a titan in the cybersecurity industry, providing endpoint protection to a vast array of organizations, from Fortune 500 companies to critical government agencies. Their Falcon sensor, a lightweight agent installed on millions of computers globally, was designed to detect and prevent sophisticated cyber threats, acting as the digital immune system for businesses worldwide. In an era where cyber threats evolve daily, CrowdStrike's technology promised resilience. It was the trusted guardian against ransomware, malware, and nation-state attacks. Its widespread adoption meant that when its systems were working correctly, countless organizations operated with confidence, protected by its advanced threat detection and prevention capabilities. But what happens when the guardian itself falters, not from an external attack, but from an internal, unseen flaw? The morning of July 19 began like any other Friday. Businesses prepared for the weekend, travelers boarded early flights, and hospitals readied for another busy day. Routine updates, including those from cybersecurity vendors, were pushed out silently in the background, a common practice designed to keep systems secure and optimized. No one expected that one such routine update would unleash an unprecedented cascade of failures, disrupting lives on an unimaginable scale, simply through its silent deployment. The root cause, when it was finally identified, was both shockingly simple and devastatingly complex in its implications. A routine software update for CrowdStrike's Falcon sensor contained a critical error, a malformed definition file. Within this file, a specific value that should have been positive or 0 was instead negative. This seemingly innocuous typo was a digital poison pill, designed to protect, but instead bringing systems down with a fatal error. To understand the gravity, imagine a tiny, critical switch in a vast machine. If that switch is meant to be on or off, but instead receives a signal that defies its logic, the entire machine might seize up. In this case, the Falcon sensor, encountering the invalid negative value in a field expecting non-negative data, didn't know how to proceed. It registered this unexpected input as a critical, unrecoverable error. The result? A system-wide crash. For Windows users, the immediate, unmistakable symptom was the dreaded blue screen of death, or BSOD. This wasn't a warning, it was a final curtain. PCs, servers, and vital network equipment protected by CrowdStrike's Falcon sensor crashed, rendering them inoperable. It was a mass digital cardiac arrest, simultaneously impacting systems around the globe, from bustling data centers to individual workstations. The screen was blue, but the impact was red alert critical. The scale of the shutdown was staggering. Within minutes, then hours, an estimated 8.5 million endpoints worldwide were rendered useless. These weren't just personal computers, they were servers running critical infrastructure, workstations managing logistics, and devices powering essential services. The Typo had unleashed a digital pandemic, affecting a significant portion of the global digital backbone and grinding operations to a halt in nearly every sector imaginable. One of the first and most visible impacts was on air travel. Across the United States and Europe, airline operations rapidly descended into chaos. Southwest Airlines, United, Delta, American, and even Lufthansa reported severe system issues, leading to widespread flight delays and cancellations. Travelers, many still unaware of the underlying cause, found themselves stranded in airports, their plans thrown into disarray by a problem they couldn't see. Perhaps the most terrifying impact was felt in healthcare. Hospitals and pharmacies rely heavily on interconnected systems for patient records, medication dispensing, and diagnostic equipment. As CrowdStrike-protected machines crashed, emergency rooms struggled to access critical patient data, pharmacies couldn't process prescriptions, and even life-sustaining medical devices faced connectivity issues. The digital infrastructure, designed to save lives, suddenly became a barrier to care. The world's financial markets, already a complex web of high-speed transactions, also felt the brutal force of the outage. Banking apps went offline, ATMs ceased to function, and trading platforms froze, halting billions of dollars in potential transactions. The sheer interconnectedness of modern finance meant that even a momentary hiccup could have cascading effects, impacting global economies and shaking investor confidence. The outage was a stark reminder of our dependence on these fragile digital systems. Even the flow of information was not spared. Broadcasters and newsrooms, relying on computer systems for everything from scriptwriting to teleprompters, found themselves unable to function. TV channels went off-air, news websites displayed error messages, and the public struggled to find reliable information about the unfolding crisis. In a moment when clarity and communication were paramount, the very channels of information were silenced by a single line of bad code. The ripples extended far beyond these high-profile sectors. Logistics companies couldn't track shipments, government agencies struggled with internal communications, and countless small businesses faced operational paralysis. Every sector dependent on Windows-based systems protected by CrowdStrike found itself grappling with unprecedented downtime. It was a collective digital breakdown, exposing the vulnerabilities inherent in our deeply interconnected global infrastructure and reminding us how dependent we are. For at least 3 agonizing hours, the world seemed to hold its breath. Businesses lost revenue, essential services faltered, and trust in digital systems wavered. The initial confusion gave way to a dawning realization of the severity and scope of the problem. CrowdStrike's teams were in a frantic race against time, not just to understand the technical flaw, but to comprehend the real-world chaos it was unleashing across continents. Every minute counted. Inside CrowdStrike's incident response centers, engineers scrambled. The priority was clear: isolate the rogue update and prevent further infection, then formulate a fix. This wasn't a simple patch. The nature of the crash meant that many affected systems couldn't even boot up to receive a new update. The challenge was immense, requiring creative and often manual interventions in thousands of organizations simultaneously. Their reputation, and indeed the world's digital stability, hung in the balance. CrowdStrike eventually issued a corrective patch, a new, properly formed definition file. But deploying it was far from straightforward. For systems that had completely crashed, a simple remote update wasn't possible. Many IT departments had to undertake painstaking manual interventions, often requiring physical access to machines to reboot them, disable the faulty component, or install the fix offline. It was a digital rescue mission, one computer at a time, echoing a much earlier era of computing. Even after the patch was available, the return to normalcy was slow and arduous. Businesses faced cascading delays as they brought systems back online, validated data integrity, and restored services. Airlines struggled to reschedule thousands of flights, hospitals grappled with backlogs, and financial institutions worked overtime to reconcile transactions. The incident highlighted not just the fragility of individual systems, but the intricate dependencies that underpin our entire digital economy. The financial cost of the CrowdStrike outage was astronomical. While precise figures are still being tallied, initial estimates suggest billions of dollars in losses. This includes lost revenue from halted operations, compensation for cancelled flights, remediation costs for IT departments, and the broader economic impact of disrupted supply chains. It's a stark reminder that in the digital age, a single line of bad code can have economic repercussions that dwarf traditional disasters. Beyond the dollars and cents, there was a profound human cost. Patients unable to receive urgent medical care, families stranded far from home, individuals unable to access their savings. The anxiety, stress, and frustration experienced by millions of people underscored how deeply intertwined technology is with our daily lives and well-being. This wasn't just an IT problem, it was a societal disruption that touched nearly everyone, exposing our collective vulnerability. For CrowdStrike, the incident delivered a significant blow to its reputation. As a cybersecurity provider, trust is their most valuable currency. The fact that their own software, designed to protect, became the vector for such widespread disruption raised serious questions about their internal quality assurance and testing protocols. It wasn't just a technical failure, it was a crisis of confidence for their clients and the broader industry, forcing a re-evaluation of trust. The CrowdStrike outage starkly illustrated the dangers of a single point of failure. When a widely adopted product or service, no matter how robust, experiences a critical flaw, the impact can be disproportionately massive. This wasn't just a company's problem, it exposed the systemic risk inherent in relying on one vendor for critical infrastructure components. Diversity and redundancy suddenly seemed not just desirable, but absolutely essential for national and global resilience. The incident also highlighted the critical vulnerability in the software supply chain. Every piece of software we use, every update we receive, introduces a potential risk. Organizations worldwide implicitly trust their vendors to deliver secure, stable code. When that trust is breached, even inadvertently, the consequences can be catastrophic. It forces a re-evaluation of how we assess and mitigate risks from third-party software providers, urging more rigorous due diligence. For software developers and IT operations teams, the lesson was clear: robust testing is not an option, it's a fundamental imperative. The typo that caused the outage should have been caught during internal quality assurance. This incident will undoubtedly lead to a renewed focus on multi-stage testing, canary deployments, and extensive validation before any update, especially one affecting critical security infrastructure, is rolled out globally to millions of devices. Testing becomes a moral obligation. Another critical takeaway is the need for more effective rollback strategies. When a bad update is deployed, the ability to quickly revert to a previous, stable version is paramount. The CrowdStrike incident revealed the difficulty of this when systems are fully crashed. Future infrastructure design must prioritize not just robust deployment, but also the seamless and immediate ability to undo widespread errors, minimizing downtime and mitigating damage. Recovery must be built in, not an afterthought. Organizations are now re-evaluating their redundancy and resilience strategies. Relying on a single vendor for critical security functions might prove too risky. Diversifying security solutions, implementing multi-factor authentication across different providers, and designing systems with inherent fault tolerance will become even more critical. The outage serves as a wake-up call, urging businesses to invest in architectures that can withstand unexpected shocks and maintain operations even when a core component fails. The 2024 CrowdStrike outage will undoubtedly reshape the future of cybersecurity. It's a harsh lesson that even the most advanced defenses are only as strong as their weakest link. The industry will likely see increased scrutiny on software updates, greater emphasis on vendor risk management, and a push for standardized resilience protocols. The incident underscores that cybersecurity isn't just about external threats, it's also about the internal integrity and reliability of the very tools we rely on to protect ourselves. This wasn't an act of sabotage or a malicious hack. It was a simple, yet catastrophic, programming error, a typo that reverberated across the globe. The CrowdStrike outage of July 2024 serves as a stark reminder of our profound dependence on digital infrastructure and its inherent fragility. It's a wake-up call for every organization, every developer, and every user. In our interconnected world, even the smallest mistake can have monumental consequences, demanding constant vigilance and uncompromising reliability. As the world slowly reboots and recovers, the industry reflects on the lessons learned. The $10 billion Typo wasn't just a news story, it was a watershed moment. It sparked critical conversations about single points of failure, the necessity of robust testing, and the undeniable need for diverse, resilient systems. For David Chen, the IT manager who saw the first blue screens, and for millions like him, July 19, 2024, will forever be etched in memory as the day the digital world crashed, teaching us valuable, if painful, lessons.